Hi. Aloha.
Oh my God, aloha. Please
Hi.
don't let me that Roberto. He's so pretty time right here. I love the background that you have.
Oh yeah, you know what? I ended up getting called into a little shop job I have. So it actually was better because I know the internet's going to keep working. Hi.
Hi, guys. Hello, hello, Señor Derek. How are you, Señor Roberto?
Good, and you guys?
Uh, just ready to at least have a good chat. Hi, Derek. A pleasure to meet you. Um, so,
Hi, Derek. And is it Berto or Roberto? How do you say your name?
Berto?
Berto.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah,
Nicole.
Nicole, how are you? We've never met.
I know. We've never met. We're meeting now. Never too late.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Cool.
Derek, also, yeah. So, guys, still we're gonna give, of course, it's only 7 minutes or so uh, to 6. So usually I like to wait still like about 5 minutes after the time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can still relax or whatever. You can check sound, live, whatever you guys want. And again, we're gonna take about 30, 45 minutes, approximately 30 minutes, let's say, to really. I have a list of many different questions, points, but also whatever you guys feel again is important, and try to guide at least a little bit of fun time. But it's still here. Derek, where are you? Where are you joining us from? I forgot. You're right here in San Francisco, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm in Georgia. I'm
In
all the way on the east.
Georgia. Okay, okay, okay.
Georgia. Okay.
So we have Hawaii, Missouri, San Francisco, and Georgia at the moment. So somebody has a microphone is a little bit, and maybe it's me also. So I'm gonna try to lower it down, and that way there's no echoing. Um, so initially, when we can, again, there has been times before that there's people that join this chat just to create um, uh, chaos or whatever. One time I was in this Zoom, and I don't even know how they do it, but they started to draw penises on the screen, and it was like, oh my god,
God.
it's crazy. So usually it's peaceful, but sometimes there's just troublemakers also that they just want to do something. But
Oh my goodness.
but I'm I hope you guys are doing all right. And Derek, I had seen you online also for a while also, so it's nice meeting you. And initially, again, just try to well, whoever again shows up, and I think the recording is already set up. And hold on, let me just double check that too. Yes, everything is
It's
still,
recording. Yeah.
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 So I'm
I
gonna pause it,
have a quick.
but so anyway, so welcome everyone to This is Relationships and HIV, and Our Now. And why this is Our Now? Because many things have changed in our arena of HIV in a long time. Now with the whole U equal U, undetectable means and transmissible and everything, there's a lot of things that we can talk or debate about our relationships in correlation to our health and especially HIV. But I mean, for myself, again, especially for many single people, I think many people want to, again, get out of the whole isolation and loneliness space. So I have with me today as guides or people in some way taking us in different directions. From all the way from Hawaii, aloha, Nicole Lokander, and I learned that he was born in Missouri, or he was living in Missouri, but now he's in Los Angeles, California, el señor Roberto.
Hey,
And of course, I've been posting right there his link under Berto. So he will tell us right now a little bit more of him. And we have also, we have a small group right now. I want to introduce also yourselves to Derek, that we have chatted also before briefly, and he's all the way from Georgia. And I wanted to take this time again first, and I'm gonna allow to everyone to introduce yourselves. Um, let's make it really personal and just take this space to really, I don't know, in some way at least to connect a little bit. And again, this is gonna be shared later on for recordings. One thing that I have learned is that definitely many of our brothers and sisters in our HIV community, especially many of our HIV long-term survivors, are experiencing a lot of mental health issues. And I count myself. My anxiety sometimes is like out there. I had the pleasure
mm,
to meet personally Nicole right here. She came to visit in San Francisco, and we were able to hang out. So I'm gonna allow you to just have a space that you can introduce yourself and what are you doing, and again, why will it be important here? So let's start with Nicole.
Okay. Well, I'm very grateful to be here and I'm very super stoked about this conversation. I think everyone since COVID has moments of isolation. I don't think it's just the HIV community, but it's also compounded. We're getting older and just our status. But my name is Nicole. I'm very, happy to meet you all. I'm a two-time cancer survivor. I survived a hospice diagnosis. I am a long-term HIV survivor of 33 years this year. And, when I went through doing this, so grateful, so grateful. I just like to share this. I lived for 24 years pretty much off HIV medication. The meds were so intense for me. The side effects were so crazy that I lived with full-blown AIDS for 12 years before I finally had that cancer that almost killed me and I got on antiretrovirals. So it's been a crazy journey. When I went through that diagnosis, I was pretty much like, you know what, universe, I've been so sick for so long. Either take me home or keep me here, but keep me here healthy so I can live a life of service. And that was a very clear path. And I'm still here. So with my service, I started a company called Sir Thrive Life. And basically I'm a health coach, a mentor. I guide and empower people living with chronic illness and those going through a cancer journey to live their best life possible, quality of life issues. I also went through benzodiazepine withdrawal. For those of you who know, it is harder than heroin to come off of. It was a 3-year journey. So I like to say, gosh, I feel like I lost my 40s. I'm 55 this year. And from 45 to 50, from like 44, well, I won't get into numbers, but I just say like, I certainly feel like I didn't really date for about 10 years. I was just too sick. The time, I had lovers, I had this, that, but it really wasn't an option. I was really just fighting for my life. So I feel like my story, and I think many of us might be able to relate, it's not linear. Like, I don't even know, and especially since COVID, I don't know how old I am, what year it is, or what's happening because I feel so healthy for the most part. It's still like this, but my health is so good. I've been on the meds now for 9 years, and it's like a second chance at life. Um, I'm alive also because of intuition. That's something that I share with people. But in terms of relationships, I took notes because I get nervous and I need to take notes. But I was thinking about this because when you first mentioned this, I'm like, oh yeah, dating and relationship. But it's like he didn't say dating, but I took it there. You also said relationships. And so what I wrote here, and I'm also a survivor of childhood trauma. And I say all that because I too have a mental health diagnosis of anxiety. And I choose to not be. I have no issue with medication. I think it's really helpful for some. For me, I tried many SSRIs, all of them. I'm not on medication, but I definitely have a low grade anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
So from everything, right? I mean, it's a lot we've been through in all these years. So, I'm a survivor of a lot. I think we all are. And so when I thought about this idea of like relationship, my relationship to disease and survival has been a long journey. This is what I wrote. My relationship, like what is my relationship to myself? Self-love has come in really, really clear as I launched my business because I realized I had a lot of feelings of shame and unworthiness. And I think some of that came from this diagnosis at such a young age, but also is just my shit. Like it's from my childhood, not being nurtured as a child. I also thought my relationship to family, to friends, and to my illness. So HIV and I have had a very interesting relationship. And I have to say that when I was able to really shift from like a victim mentality and realize that this diagnosis, both the cancers and the HIV, really has been the catalyst for huge transformation in my life. It has made me who I am today. I often bow down to that journey I have been on. I also wish it was different, but it isn't. And I feel like I've lived many lifetimes. Maybe some of us feel that, like from going through all the things and coming out as like on top and as a survivor. So I love this idea of just like constantly checking in with what is my relationship to self and to my illness, because that's what I'm putting out to the world, right? Because I want love, but if I'm not loving myself, then of course I'm not embodying that.
Nicole,
Yeah,
before we get deeper into
yeah,
relationships, let
yeah.
me just no, you're doing.
Just a check-in. Okay.
Let me no, yeah. Let me just introduce also them, and then
Oh,
we.
okay. Sorry.
No. Everything is fine again. There's no specific recipe or nothing. But so I just want again to Señor Roberto, Robert,
Okay.
introduce yourself a little bit about yourself and what you're doing or something, of a little bit of your story, and then we can then pass to.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Roberto Archuleta. I'm originally born and raised from Kansas City, Missouri. I now live in Los Angeles, California, and I have a lot in common with Nicole, and we've never met. This year, I've been positive 33 years. This year, I turned 55. So,
Wow.
and I was 21 when I was diagnosed. And back then it was a death sentence. So I thought I was going to die.
Mhm.
And so I was very afraid at that time.
Mm.
Um, I didn't think I would see 25. 25 came and passed, and 30, 35, 40. Now I'm 55. So, and I too, like Nicole, made like a promise, that I would be watched over and taken care of. And I would, as a result of that, um, I came to be the person who was the voice for people who could not speak for themselves or who were afraid to speak for themselves. And so that's what I did. I called myself retiring from the HIV arena. When I moved to California in 2021, I said, okay, no more HIV, anything. I'm just going to just live.
Mhm.
Well, and God looked at me and laughed. He said, do you remember that promise you made? So I can't help as I'm trying to navigate through the HIV arena here, just to get myself situated. I'm finding little gaps in services that, of course, they're initially it's something that's affecting me directly, but then I stop and think and I put on my community advocate hat and I'm like, okay, well, if it's affecting me directly, how many others
Okay.
is this happening to? And how many of those others don't have the skill set to appropriately navigate the HIV arena? So are they just dropping out of care? And it raises a lot of questions for me. So I call myself not wanting to put the advocate hat back on, but I'm feeling like, okay, this is what I'm here for. This is
That's right.
why I'm still here, you
Robert,
know?
Roberto, and I also I met you exactly in social media because you were initiating a new phase. Why don't you say at least a little bit about that phase, Facebook page that you also connected me with?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, the
Jesus.
Facebook page that you connected me with to really,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. The Remember Me
yeah,
campaign. Is that what you're talking about?
yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, one of the biggest things that I've done here, well, in Kansas City, I created an organization. It was a nonprofit. It was to help individuals navigate the HIV arena.
Mm.
So I don't want to duplicate that, but I'm feeling that maybe it's a need, bigger need than what we even think it is,
Mhm.
or what LA County even thinks it is. So I have put together, it's called the Remember Me campaign. And it's to bring awareness back to the HIV/AIDS ribbon, but it's more than that. It is to bring awareness back to it. But at during the time, like the late 80s, early 90s, there was a lot of focus on dying and death. And so now that more of the focus has shifted to living and thriving, I don't see a lot of what would you call it? I don't see a lot of the necessary like resources. There are some resources, don't get me wrong, but I think there needs to be more resources and more specifically um specific resources geared to especially like you were talking earlier, Jesus, like mental health. I think mental health is such a big topic that needs to really be honed in on, as well as, one of the big differences that I'm seeing as opposed to when I was first diagnosed till now is um the transition over to sex positivity.
Of course. Yeah. So hopefully, again, we can put also the link, and I will do that for you.
Okay,
The
thank
recording
you.
is finished. Derek, I don't want to throw you into the whole arena. You did mention briefly to me that you will have to also maybe say a little bit about what you're doing or what is happening in Georgia or yourself. So would you like to do that? I mean, it's really, again, I don't want to throw you.
Yeah, I should probably share my story a little bit so everybody understands what happened. Because
Okay.
I am I'm constantly told I am the unrelatable advocate and I'm not wanted. There's no space for me in the advocacy world. And that is because I contracted the virus in '85 from a blood transfusion. I
Okay.
was undergoing open heart surgery. I was 3 months old, and I was not diagnosed with AIDS until I was 16.
Yeah.
And I just turned 40, so I'm also a long-term survivor.
Yeah.
So I think my story is very powerful when it's told, but finding the spaces to tell the story is incredibly hard. And finding the funding and finding the people to sit down and listen
Mm.
is extremely difficult because it does bring back the 80s. It brings back a time people don't like to remember. They don't like to look at. It was rough. It was horrible. But sadly, we have not advanced as far as
Correct.
the powers that be want us to believe. And
Right.
they're selling online and in the media and the commercials and the new meds. Like that's all good and great. I'm happy. I'm grateful to see it.
Yeah.
I'm using a lot of it, but at the same time, I'm trapped in a body that's 5 foot tall. I struggle to maintain 100 pounds.
Wow.
I look like the pictures from Time magazine,
Mm.
and so when I do get the chance to go on stage, there's an audible gasp in the room. I've spoken at the International Conference on Stigma,
Yeah.
twice, and I'm going to be attending this month. That'll be my third time.
Okay.
I'm not presenting or anything this year, but there's an audible gasp when I walk in the room. I am known in that circle at Howard University,
Mm,
and I created this. This is my organization.
mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle of right now. We do a big toy drive because I did a toy drive, and it's in honor of all the children that were lost to the AIDS epidemic.
So I hope you allow me and allow us to help. I was like, hopefully, I can
Good.
each one of you to again put the links and to maybe who knows again in the near future also to do a Zoom focus and because we always forget again that there's so many different ways and stories and again the part of women and trans people and injections because of or drugs and also blood transfusion and so many different ways. So hopefully you allow me and allow us to help in whatever way we can. um, I want to mention also, and I'm very thankful again that the other person right here on the Zoom, Dolores Solis is my mother. Um, so I
Oh,
am thankful that she has been helping me and we help each other in many different ways. So she's not showing her face, but um, I just want to acknowledge her because she's been supporting me as well. Myself, as
great.
many as you guys know, I am Jesus Guillen, the next year will be the 40th anniversary of my HIV journey, and was a Latino, immigrant, gay, and I think the four of us were single. I think I'm not sure. I think the four of us are single. Are you single, Derek?
No, I'm married.
Oh, you're married. Okay. Do you have kids?
No, no, we're
Okay.
both.
Okay.
That's a terrifying thought at my age. And I'm cardiac. I've got a pacemaker. You know.
Well, but so again, you can still talk about relationships and HIV and the whole thing because your journey, I'm sure, and your story it has many parts of it. So let's start with different questions, presently that can enlighten a little bit uh, some of the people that will be listening to this. Again, sometimes I think many people kind of lost the appetite in many different ways to get into Zooms because for a while there were like Zooms like initially a few and then there were Zooms like every day, 20 different Zooms every day. But it's still when we record it, sometimes the stories can be shared still for all over the place. So that's very important. So let's start with something that is of course very important these days. Um, the whole thing, if we should really tell someone, and I know, Derek, that you are married, but still I don't know much about what's going on in your life. So let's try to be in Mexico, they say sin tapujos, like really talk about things really honestly. So when we say about relationship, we're talking about with many people, but also when we're trying to find a partner in our lives, or we have a partner in our lives, but also, of course, about sex and encounters and all these different things. What is your opinion? And again, in a short way, also for everyone, and every opinion is respected. If a person should tell someone or not about the HIV status, safety is priority, and if some states is illegal if you don't say someone about your HIV status. But what is your personal opinion, especially if you are undetectable, that means untransmissible, and like I tell people, I can have the wildest sex with someone and I cannot pass the virus to that person. Let's start again with Nicole.
I always have to start. Well, I love this question, and it's very intuitive for me. It depends on the situation, because I've done it I've done it both ways. I've said something right straight off the bat, and usually that's kind of I just feel more comfortable. Plus, I'm all over the internet. I mean, I'm so out with my status. So I just started internet dating last year at this time, and I've only even been on like 6 dates, maybe even 5, because it was so uh, and let me tell you, I feel the straight world is stuck in 1995.
Mm,
It's just a fact.
yeah.
So it is like a shock. Usually they fall out of their seat. I mean, it's, not really, but it's definitely a shock. So, even like with my internet dating, I just had this happen a few months ago and it was so painful and I was so pissed. Because I went out on a date and it was like a lot of good. We both left the date like, wow, that was kind of nice. Like, I kind of like you. I'm like, okay, that because I never go in with any expectation, right? Especially here on Maui, there's not a lot here. But then we went on the second date and it had a beautiful day. We went back to his house to just talk and whatever. And I disclosed, my life, kind of what I'm going through. And the reason I did this, so also the second date was because I had someone in these other dates that like Googled me and, it's all over my Instagram. I mean, I tell people, and I was the first female athlete to come out as HIV positive,
Wow.
professional athlete. So right after Greg Louganis in 19, I was a professional figure skater for some of those that you don't know. When I'm on the mainland, I teach ice skating. And actually, I'll tell you this, just kind of toot my own horn, did a program all about HIV with a big long red ribbon at the US Open in 1995. It was beautiful. So I'm super out. Anyway, so for me, I just feel like it's better to just come from me than them Googling me and finding out
Mm,
because I've had that happen. So I like to tell people it just is more comfortable. But this person had a horrible reaction and then they didn't even call me back. Like they were just like, after everything I said, they were like, you know, do you have to tell that to everyone? And I was like, oh my God, I only tell that to people I think there might be another date, but yeah, that's my life. And they were like, well, that's a lot. And I'm like, well, it's a lot for you, but
yeah.
imagine me, it's my life. It was a horrible.
Mm,
So as I moved from that and I have gone on like another date, then I just decided in this next date, like not to say something. And none of the other dates I've been on, I'd want to see these people again anyway. So for me, it's just kind of it's always intuitive. I've gone both directions, but usually I tell people straight off the bat.
mm.
Um, it's just easier for me that way.
Yeah,
But it's not easier. I mean, it's just,
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. And thank you, Nicole. And again, we have to remember, and I think that's a big decision. One thing is, again, when you see a possibility for a relationship and also a one night stand, right? And in many of our gay community, for one night stand sometimes are more common. Also, Nicole, I think it's super important to mention in this moment again, because you are the only woman in this group, how different and how much the stigma and the discrimination can be still against women, uh,
Mhm.
because the sexuality on a woman
Mhm.
still is not respected or acknowledged many times.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so let's go with Roberto. What do you think? Should we tell someone or should we not? What do you think is your opinion about either relationships or sex?
Well, for me, I believe that it's a matter of what's going to make the person feel more comfortable as far as when they choose to tell. Um, for me, I always like to tell at the very beginning because it just allows me to be more, I guess you could say, quote unquote, free. I don't have it frees my mind. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not hiding anything. I'm putting everything out there. Whether the person chooses to receive it in a positive way
Yeah.
or not, that's up to them. And then that lets me know whether I even want to be bothered with them anymore. I think a lot of people tend to put everything in the other person's hands, but really it's in our hands.
Yeah. I want to mention something very important, and this is for everyone, because I mean, like in my case, I haven't stopped my advocacy yet, or retired for a while. Your safety is priority. And that's
Mhm.
the main thing. When you tell someone about your HIV status, because it had happened, many people sometimes react angrily. And you're telling someone in a confined space, I think especially if you are a small person or many times for a woman, if that other, whoever is the person having either sexual relationships, if you feel yourself and following your intuition is very good, please, safety is priority. I want to go with Derek because I don't know again much about your life, and it will really up to you to say you're in an open relationship or close relationship or whatever it is.
It's a close relationship,
So
and
how did your relationship happen? Was it before? No, because you became HIV positive at a very early age.
yes,
So how did your relationship happen? Tell us.
online gaming.
Oh,
It's actually
Oh,
the craziest way. We met in a gaming lobby, and I heard my wife's voice, and she was really, really good. We were playing Fortnite, and when we played, and then the next day it was like I was online and she came online, and it was we ended up playing and talking,
wow.
and then it became a thing. Like, what are you doing? We exchanged phone numbers, and I was like, what's up? And the conversations got deeper and deeper. And I kind of alluded that I had health problems, and she had some of her own. And then I said that, well, I wrote a book kind of about all mine, and I had messed up because my gamer tag is that is Direct. So she was able to find the book very easy.
Oh, wow.
And she read my book. And when she read the book, she found out. So
Wow.
it gave her time on her own to deal with it without me
Mhm.
and without the face to face with me. And then she brought it to me and she told me, she goes, so I did a thing. I read your book, and she goes, I hope you're not upset about it. And I said, I'm not, because if I'm gonna disclose, like, I would prefer to do it in person. I wasn't going to disclose to somebody that I wasn't sitting beside,
Yeah.
because my disclosure is different than a lot of other people's, because it is so shocking, because you don't hear of when you think about a baby and a blood transfusion and so many years going by, and it's everything that goes with that. And she read the book, and it really, like, kind of shook her to be like, this guy's gone through absolute hell, and he wrote it all down, and he's trying to help people.
Beautiful.
And that's what she fell in love with. That's
No.
what she told me.
Derek,
So
how long you guys been together?
coming up on 2.5 years.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Congratulations.
congrats.
I think for many of us, and I'm gonna speak also, I don't know, you guys can also tell your opinion, but is that part of who is gonna accept us with everything that we are, without that fear of becoming HIV positive or dying or anything else. So congratulations from my part. Um, from myself, I'm gonna be also terribly honest again to all the people that listen to us. I'm still sexually active. I'm single and available. So I do have one night stands. So we have to take this in consideration in relationships also. I always said that when I have sex or one night stand, sometimes I am 10 years younger. I am being terribly honest, and I am upfront usually again about being HIV positive. That's just me. I always put it in any profile or whatever. But I really hope one day, like you, Derek, somebody sees me that more than my HIV.
Yeah,
So
like I was, when I found out she read the book, I was assuming it was done. I was like, any feelings I had or was starting to get, like, they were about to crash and burn. And when they didn't, I mean, it really shocked the hell out of me. And it's been great because it's was so unexpected. And I wasn't looking for love. I wasn't looking for anybody. I found a friend
yeah.
that became that person. So
Can I be stupid enough to ask which game were you, uh, which kind of gaming were you doing? Just for the people also that might be gamers online or that like certain things.
Fortnite.
All right, just to know what's going on.
Yeah, we were playing duo. Well, you can play as a 2-man team, 3-man team, 4-man team. So there was a huge group of friends and we would all play together. So sometimes it would be four of us together. Sometimes me and her would just run around together and play. And it's just an all out, you're trying to be the last man standing in the last team standing in the game.
But I think you're still standing, and now you had someone in your life.
Yeah.
It's like good. So let's go
Yeah.
to another question, and I'm really glad, Derek, that you're here because you are precisely representing, like in our HIV long-term survivors group, we have a small community of people that they were born with HIV. And sometimes we forget also that these young people that they are 30 years old or, something like that, they are HIV long-term survivors because they've been living all their life with it. And we forget again the people with blood transfusions and also again the role of women, like I'm gonna say, saying hello to all the HIV long-term survivors around the world. But like in Spain, most of the HIV long-term survivors, or the majority, are women. And we always think about the stereotype many times of what is the Castro area or San Francisco that exists more gay men right here. But we have our straight friends, our trans community, again, the people that they were born with it. And sadly, lately, a lot of members of our community that they were born with it, they've been also disappearing from our lives. So let's keep trying to help each other. So let's go with another question and we will adapt to everyone's life. Nicole, is it better to date just, is it easier to date HIV positive, other HIV positive people, or are you just like leaving it open to see, or what difference do you think it makes in some way?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for asking. And I do want to say that in the last 20 years, I was with 4 different people for short relationships that accepted my HIV and we had amazing sex and it was wonderful. So it hasn't just been rejection, for sure. It didn't work probably for other reasons. I tend to choose emotionally unavailable, but I'm done with that now.
Okay.
In terms of, that's an interesting question. I've had so many people ask me, well, why don't you just try to find someone with HIV? Through the long-term survivor group, I did meet someone. There was a little bit of energy there, but it's never been my focus just because I feel like, I mean, even until this year, I never really online dated. I just felt like it would organically happen. I mean, certainly if I met someone and they told me, I would be like, no problem. I'm not seeking it out.
Mm.
I don't feel to just be with someone with HIV. I just feel open. Um, I don't, either way, but it's definitely not something that I felt like, oh, I should just focus on that. I don't know. It's just never been, yeah.
We had noticed it's like it's trying to see again all the different vibes that exist, especially right now in our community. What
Yeah.
about you, Roberto? What do you think? Is it easier? Will it be easier? Doesn't make any difference?
Well, in the past, I've had 3 long-term relationships. In the past, I didn't go out seeking another person who was positive. It just happened that way.
Mm.
So I have been open to either or. It really didn't make a difference to me. What made a difference was the fact that could a person understand? Could we communicate well? Those types of things. Whether a person was positive or negative really wasn't anything that really crossed my mind. But like I said, it just happened to be that they were positive. But since then, I've been single. I've been single for over 20 years now.
Oh, would you like to have someone or really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
But again, that's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen. If it's supposed to happen, with who is, you know, I don't have any expectations. I'm just, I'm open. I'm open, but
I mean, just in
there's
case
been,
somebody's listening, right? Just in case. So Derek,
but
I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish.
I'm listening to a lot of different YouTube videos about, some of the changes that have occurred in the HIV arena, and it just really, really is interesting to me because I have been a heavy community advocate. I've done my share of, like Nicole was mentioning earlier, if someone wants to Google me, they would see all kinds of stuff, you know, and I've been laying low for the past probably a little over 10 years. So I've been kind of out of the loop, I guess you could say. And now that I'm hearing all the differences that have occurred, I'm just like, wow. Like I was talking earlier about, the so much of the focus now about the sex positivity. That was not a thing back then.
That's what
You know, that
like that. Yeah, sex positivity.
right. You
That's
know, um, and that's just one example of how things have changed so much. So I don't really have any expectations. I don't know. I'm open. Like I said, I'm open.
so Derek, I want to adjust the question. Precisely,
Okay.
you mentioned you have a close relationship, and again, close or open relationship in these days, either you're straight, bisexual, pansexual, and there's like 20 or 100 different sexual terminologies these days. In your case, I wanted to adjust the question to uh, friendships or society because also in your case, again, anyone can read your book or see your information.
Yeah.
And how do these affects or involve the life of marriage or with friends or things like that? What do you think?
Well, when I got diagnosed, I'm in a very, very small town in Georgia.
Wow.
So when I got diagnosed back in 2001, there was a lot of when I would enter a room, there would be little whispers and, people kind of nodding and doing little motions that way, like if I went to a restaurant or anything. And I would notice it because you're just hyper vigilant after you get diagnosed. And I got so uncomfortable with it. That's really what kind of pushed me to the advocacy role was I got tired of having to be the guy that would tell someone, you know, whatever your grandma said is not the truth.
Yeah.
I go to see professionals. And at that point, I was going every month and taking 22 pills a day to stay alive. So yeah, I was the bad guy in the scenario. So I had to flip the script on, and the only way to do that was to become the advocate. I had to become the teacher. And that's what I did. I put myself in a position to not be the main one about it, I got the credentials and I read the books and I did my homework. I made the friendships with all the advocates, and I learned to be able to have the conversations that I needed to have. And when it got back around in town, I didn't realize how many of my friends had family members that had passed away back in the 80s and 90s. And they would come to me in tears because I would be working. I was a DJ because my 20s, I, dedicated to myself, and I just kind of went out and DJ'd. I was living my life. When I turned 30, I really turned on the advocacy thing and went hard at that, and I've been doing that ever since. But I would be working and I would have people come up in tears because, somebody would ask, like, why's that guy so short? Why does he look like he's sick? Or what's wrong with him? And for years, I would just tell people I've got a bad heart and they'd go on their way.
Yeah.
And then, other friends would tell the rest of the story. And I met some amazing, amazing people when I let down the walls that the virus and stigma put around me.
So, how long you been where you're living, Derek?
I've been here ever since I was on the planet.
Okay. Well, I hope again people keep respecting you and seeing you. That's always very important.
The funniest part, though, was when I met my wife and her family found out about me, and she told her dad that she had met a guy in Brunswick, Georgia. Brunswick, Georgia has the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. So every federal agency, like Homeland Security, Border Patrol, all that, trains here in this town. He had been here back in the 80s like 3 times. And he goes, what in the world do you know about Brunswick, Georgia? And she goes, how do you know about Brunswick, Georgia? And it's so weird, like how everything came full circle. Because now when I go and visit and I talk with him, like the conversations are great because we have that commonality. He's been here. And they live in Washington State. So he hated the heat. He hated the humidity. And he remembers the bugs. It's fun to have those, like, not health related things that we're talking about. We're talking about everyday things. That's the thing that gets wrapped up so much with advocacy that I hate is everybody thinks that the other parts of us get washed away.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very important part, right? That many times, especially as advocates, sometimes people forget that maybe we like to swim or to sing or to take some walks in the park or read or gaming or any of those things.
Yeah, every Saturday and Sunday, I'm yelling at the TV for football games like everybody else.
Yeah, but people forget those things. And also I wanna mention something for everyone that is listening, because it's very easy for people to judge many times. Derek mentioned again that sometimes he will say that he had heart problems. And hold on 1 second, I just wanted to be sure that I am hearing the rings, but I'm not sure if it's somebody trying to get in. But anyway, it's very easy to judge. Um, I remember when somebody, after having some drinks and being in a party and kind of I like you and the whole thing, and then getting in the car, and the first thing that the other person says is, by the way, don't worry, I'm HIV negative, and expecting to hear the same thing. And I just remember initially, because now again I'm very open about it, but initially saying, honestly, I don't know. And it will be very easy for many people listening to us to judge what Derek mentioned or to judge what I just mentioned. But it's very difficult even these days because the stigma and discrimination are still incredibly high. And we have had even many hates of waves of hate, waves of hate against many people now these days with HIV. What we have to be careful, guys, listening, everyone, is that sadly, again, the laws are different in many places, in different states. So just again, your safety is priority. So again, maybe Derek is giving us an idea, but that's something that I was reading, and like Roberto mentioned right now, I guess when it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But it's a good idea to go to keep doing your passions and join groups that maybe it will involve people that they are maybe already open about their HIV in some ways. I don't know how it is in Hawaii right now, Nicole. Are there more open groups about it? That I mean, like in San Francisco, you can find meditation, Russian people that they're HIV positive, and they like all these very particular things, right? How is it in Hawaii right now, the situation, as far as
I mean, yeah, for Hawaii, no. I mean, and there's nothing on Hawaii. And even my, I'm, a mid-50 menopausal woman. So I like even have a menopausal women's group that I go to, and none of them have HIV and they're all single. I mean, this age to be single on the islands is challenging.
yeah?
So again, it's why I don't really even just like look for people that might be positive. I'm just open. And I love all your posts about wanting to find love. I'm a diehard romantic also. So I'm just like, I'm kind of like, universe, what the fuck? Like, I'm ready, like, come on, the time is clicking. And, at this point, I also said to my girlfriend, it's time to take a lover. Like, this is like, it's been 2 years. I had a long distance thing for 2 years, and he was amazing with my HIV, and it did not phase him. And we had an awesome sex life. And I'm so grateful for that. It was a very hard relationship to end. But in terms of Hawaii, with resources and especially Maui, I mean, Maui is really going through some challenges. On Big Island, it felt like in the Puna community, there's definitely more of a gay community there. There seems to be more talk about, the Pride Parade is bigger, the AIDS Foundation is bigger. Like here on Maui, it's pretty insular. So.
By the way, I might be visiting Maui between December to the 15, I think. I'm not sure exactly the day, so hopefully you're there. I might be able to see you.
Okay, yeah. After the call, let's talk because I usually
Yeah,
go to
we,
Puna. I
we,
go to
we
Big
talk
Island
there.
for Christmas, but the 15th I'll still be here. But let's definitely talk. But for the sake of this call, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed when I was going up and coming back and forth to Hawaii is in some way that the community, like, they don't talk about it, but they're open to see you. But at the same time, is almost like because the shamanism of the Hawaiian
It's
culture.
not the Bay Area, is what
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
exactly.
It is not the Bay Area, and it is not talked about.
Yeah.
So, people, I bet, from almost day one, I was out about being positive because I was just like Derek, like you, like I didn't want people talking behind my back or just talking within the community. I was in a very tight-knit working situation, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to come out. And I've been very grateful that shame is not one of the things I've ever taken on. I have a lot of other crap I've taken on, but for some reason, shame just wasn't. I'm like, why should I be ashamed?
Right. Right.
Thank goodness that I felt so clear in my young, I mean, again, 22 years old, getting the diagnosis, 21 infected. So yeah, yeah.
What about where you are, Roberto? I mean, like in some way, again, you're saying, yeah, we'll be open if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But and I know that you say you will retire from the advocacy, but um, how? I mean, are you not really going, especially after the whole COVID pandemic? Are you not going much to your house, or Are they agencies that might visit you, or how is it where you are right now?
Well, right now I've just been I do get out, but I just moved to LA in April.
Okay.
So it's still new to me. I'm still in the process of trying to see where everything is and how to access it. So I haven't even looked at the fact or even thought about the fact of what is the landscape. So you will, I haven't even looked at or thought about what is the landscape about, would people even be open? I don't know. I just I haven't even gone to, there's so many other things right now that I'm trying to get situated in. I haven't even thought about that. And maybe, uh, I'm having such a difficult time trying to get everything situated because something is telling me not to focus or put any energy into that yet. Maybe this is not the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to get myself situated because how can I don't even want to think about even trying to be in any kind of relationship when I don't even have all my stuff together right now, as far as living here in LA, you know?
I mean, and Derek, how just again, I guess it's important for me also to know for the community, how are the services right there, or community support?
And very, very minimal. I am actually on the board with the Department of Health, the Consumer Consortium Board,
Hmm.
and we're tied in with a larger city. So Brunswick gets crumbs of funding, and it's a very outdated clinic that needs a lot of work done. And so I am fighting right now to get that done. I am working with them and arguing to get more money to the clinic that I utilize. And I show up to every meeting as much as they probably, are tired of seeing my name pop up in the meetings.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm there. I make
Good
sure
for you.
that I mean, there's, they have almost triple or no, 5 times the amount of cases in the bigger city than we do here in Glen, but at the same time, it's the same scenario. Like if you're doing for one, you got to do for all. Don't don't dare like put all the funding in one spot and let me find out about it because I'll be in your office. You're not that far away for me to
Right,
reach out and touch you.
right.
And that's the biggest thing I learned as an advocate was talk to everybody. Do not stay in one room. Talk to everybody because you want to be able to have whatever scenario jumps up to be able to call either a congressman or a Senate leader or an advocate, a national advocate, have somebody behind you that can write a letter on your behalf and send it to scare the out of some of these CBOs because they don't like to move and
Oh
they
yeah,
damn sure don't like to change their policies.
yeah. I
And
want.
they don't like to let go of money at all.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. I want to mention, and because you Nicole say, precisely Hawaii is not the Bay Area. I am part of the. I hope they're gonna put me already. I'm sure I'm on the blacklist anyway. So you mentioned again, Hawaii is not the Bay Area. I'm part of the HIV Planning Council. I go to so many meetings besides social media and stuff, and I have to mention it. Four of the main HIV agencies in San Francisco lately have moved, and this is reality. I'm not lying. You can Google it, whoever is listening. They have moved to better and bigger offices, some of them very fancy. Well, I know some members in our community, $100 a month can make a huge difference. So just saying that. Um, Nicole, I want to pass it to you again. If you want to share something precisely from the holistic point of view of what you're doing and everything to our communities, to us right now, anything that you want to us from that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel the exercise that I thought we could explore here. I don't think that's really where we're at for this. I mean, from a holistic point of view, and it just comes down to also like embodying that frequency of love, right? If we're looking for love, are we talking about just having sex? Most of us can go out and have sex. I mean, whatever, it's like, do we disclose? I mean, I didn't really answer that question. If I'm going to have a one night stand, I'm going to use protection and I'm undetectable. I'm not going to disclose because I'm not going to see you again. And I'm good with that. The problem is when you have that happen and then you really like them and then it does turn into something. And I've had that happen too. And then you disclose like a few weeks later and it's like, oh, but anyway, that's another talk. But on the holistic side, for me, it really is about, living from my authentic self, which is untouched by disease, which is true divine nature, which is beauty, which is love, which is untouched by any of it, and bringing that in and also coming back to self-love, you know, sometimes because, I have been like single for so long, it's like, gosh, what's wrong with me? And I do start to think, is it the HIV? But then I talk to other women my age and, a lot of them married, divorced already, and they're also single. So ready for the divine masculine to show up in its personal best. HIV or not, but just really wanting to be in that place. And, for those that are looking for or having issues with relationship, like there's a beautiful book called Calling in the One. And I started doing that work. It's Catherine Woodward Thomas. I could put it even in the chat here. And it's a beautiful 7-week course just about, when you do her 7 weeks, that a lot of people do end up finding their loved one. And it just exercises that emphasize some of that. And some of those exercises are even just, feeling every day, like feeling that one that you're looking for close to you, and then embodying, self-love.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes again, like we're talking, by the way, everyone, about some exercise and everything, but I think also it will be really good, maybe in the near future, have again, once again, a Zoom that we can focus with you about the holistic approach to many things and share with the community. And I think that will be beautiful. So I want to share also something that I found, and I just want to give again, like from each one of you, important things that can be either you have a relationship already or looking for a relationship, that there are certain important points again that can be part of this finding someone or or having already someone in your life. So I just want to have like again that little, when I say this word, like have from each one of you, and this time to start with Roberto. What comes to your mind in correlation to relationships? So if I say communication.
Well, me with the journey I've been on for the past few years, long years, seems like, um, when you say communication, I automatically think about communicating with myself and my higher power to put me in a place where I can be able to forgive, accept, move things forward in my personal life and with others. So that's what I think about when you say communication.
All right, Derek.
Communication for me in a relationship is, I'm still learning to be better at it because I've being a DJ out of habit, I'm used to just saying things and walking away.
Yeah.
I don't stay to get the response. I'll just like say something and walk out, and my she's still talking. So I have to learn to be more present and have the discussions. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at sitting and not moving as fast from one topic to another. I
Next,
always feel like I'm on a limited timeline with people, and I have to remember when I'm home, I'm not.
next time we're gonna include your wife in the Nicole, communication.
Yeah, what comes to mind, communication. I mean, I'm a Gemini, so I'm an over communicator. I'm an over texter too. Um, but communication, communicating your needs, communicating what's important, communicating boundaries, transparency. Like to me, like, when you write those dating apps, what's important? I'm like, transparency is sexy. I mean, this also comes about disclosure. Disclosure, like, some people are like, oh, it's too much too soon, but I don't know. You kind of know what you're getting with me. So it's easy communication for me. I think listening is part of communicating. Sometimes taking the pause, allowing for the listening. Also, communication is the allowance of someone else to say that's too much and not take it personally. It's like, okay, well, you're not the right person of the right caliber, So communication is everything to me. Yeah, transparency. And I know it's just more natural and harder for others. Um, Very important. Also, boundaries. Boundaries are super important to communicate. I think sometimes for me, I know I'm kind of a love addict. It's like I'll do anything for love. Like I did that in my last relationship and it was very unbalanced. And, it's like, you know, communication is very important.
I want to say that I love the synchronicity of the universe because my second word right here was boundaries. So and you mentioned it twice already.
Yes, boundaries to have self-care. We all need self-care. We all need self-love to be able to get
Yes.
that. And, some of us with mental health, if
Yeah.
I don't have my morning practice, if I don't have my meditation, my yoga, my qigong, my green juice, blah, 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 like, and, I've got lymphedema. I've got a pump that pumps my legs every night. And I had one guy, oh, and you got that big machine. I mean, that's a lot. And I'm like, okay, well, if you have a problem with my big machine that pumps my lymph, then you're not the right person for me. I'm not saying you need to be turned on by it, but I'm saying my legs are looking pretty good because I use it every night for one whole hour.
In a way, it's true. There are people that have fetishes with so many different things that sometimes, again, their fetish might be. And
But
one
the
of the
lymph pump.
yeah, one of the good things that I have seen lately, and I'm very happy about it, is that at least in the sex websites, we don't see much anymore of the back chasers. That it was precisely so many people that will ask you or want to become HIV positive, and they will talk about like, yeah, you should just have sex with me and pass me the virus. It was kind of crazy, but it seems like now with with you equal you, it's still last time maybe about last year somebody mentioned that and I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm undetectable, so I cannot pass you the virus. So we're there. So I'm sorry. So those are good news. We are not seeing much of the back chasers. Anything that you want to add, Roberto, about boundaries?
About boundaries.
Yeah.
Uh, right now, boundaries for me speaks to the fact that I don't want to overwhelm myself.
Yeah.
I want to get back into the advocacy, but I don't want to do it like I have done so many times in the past, where I just try to put every single fire out and it just becomes too much. So that's the big thing I think about when you say boundaries,
Mm,
knowing my limits,
yeah.
paying attention to those and honoring and respecting those.
Mm.
Mhm.
And very curious right now. So again, Derek, with you and your relationship, how do boundaries come across your still new relationship, a couple of years?
Yeah, my wife is really good for me because she slows me down because I will try to tackle way too much
Mm,
because I think that I'm on this limited timer that I've artificially put in my mind. So every day, like I try to get up as early as possible and I push myself the entire day to try and get so much done. And she was the one that actually like shut down my calendar for the DJ stuff so I could focus on the toy drive. She goes, "You don't need to be taking on this until you get past this." And because I would have still done it, I would have been trying to run multiple things. And I can't split myself into three different people as much as I've tried to. And she reminds me of that. So, I mean, she's really helped keep me under control, save me from myself, basically.
Yeah. I think um, the four of us that we're here, it has been a long time. It has been a long journey to get to where we are. And again, somehow and for whatever reason, we're still here. And I just want to say that I appreciate each of you to be here tonight, right now, because um, we are entering, and for many people that they are not aware of, and we have to create this awareness. We are entering a very difficult health crisis, and there's a shortage of doctors, nurses, therapists, social workers in many different places. And I know that it's going to become even harder, supposedly in the small towns and for minorities and socioeconomical lower elements of our society. So right now, again, just guys, just make people aware of this and keep your contacts for HIV and everything, because I think it's gonna be a little bit more difficult for many of us. So just keep creating that awareness and keep speaking up, in everything that we need. And also, I mean, I think especially right now, right here with Nicole, I've been in touch right now we've been in touch for a few years right now already. So I appreciate that. I want to just kind of start just letting this evening stop. But again, the whole focus has been, again, relationships, HIV in our now. And I put our now again because I guess sometimes forget that all what we have is this moment. We have all this story. Again, in my case, it was also in particular 1985 when I was told you might live a few months. And it happens to all of us and to so many of us people with the now long-term survivors. So Nicole, in our now, uh, what would you say where you are, or what would you say to our community? Because something that I saw immediately when we brought this idea about relationships, it was definitely, even if many are not here, how much is that need of someone checking on you, or at
Mhm.
least giving you a phone call, or to not make you feel invisible. That
Hmm.
has happened to many of us lately. So to kind of letting go of this evening little by little, hour now, from
Hmm.
you to the community, just
Yeah, our now, I mean, it's interesting too when you say our now, because, our now is that not only we're dealing with HIV, we're older,
yeah,
right? We're getting older and all of the struggles with that. So, to me, of course, like it's my heart's desire to meet my person And also in the meantime, to stay connected, and that the importance of community and support. I definitely would not have survived my first cancer at all if I didn't have a group of people helping me, taking care of me. You know, I'm not in touch with my family really. I mean, I have my niece, so I don't want to say whole family, but it just has been my friends are my family. So just the beauty of community, you know, and staying connected and not to isolate, to
Yeah.
always reach out, to have support. And if you don't have friends, if that's just not been easy for some, it is not, to find the resources that you need to maybe get into some groups to have that support and community. Very important. It's for survival. The survival rate of people connecting with other people goes much higher when you're not feeling isolated.
I always
Mhm.
keep telling people in some way, and of course Roberto mentioned the word thriving. In my case, I feel we are the verb, you know, not survivors but surviving, because the pandemic's still here. HIV is still here. It hasn't gone away. And curiously, through the COVID pandemic, many people almost like thought that HIV was gone or something like that, and they even call it the other pandemic. So because COVID again, it was mentioned so much, and then they started to talk about, and with a lot of respect, of course, at long-term COVID after 1 year or a couple of years, while many of us right here again is we're talking about a life, you know.
Yeah, so and I just want to say this is also I so appreciate your group and your presence, and you're constantly bringing awareness to this, to us, because you know we have been, when you tell your story, and any of us, and all the things, all the friends that have died, all the things we have been through, I mean, most people have no idea, and it is accumulative. So you the more years that go, it's like I told a friend yesterday, I'm just fucking exhausted. Like, I'm tired. I have been through so much more than the average 55-year-old, period.
Yeah,
And
I
not
mean,
that I'm a victim. It's not being about a victim. But just like honoring, like, wow, girl, you're good. You got it. Like, keep the
yeah,
hope. Like, keep the hope, and like to keep dreaming. I mean, I feel for many years, because I had that AIDS diagnosis and I was not willing to do medications. I was just waiting to die. That's why it's like so weird my whole life. And now it's like, no, I have many, many more years, good years ahead of me. And I believe that we're going to see a cure. I'm just going to hold on to that. We'll be those that made it to the cure and no more meds. And we get to move into that next phase without, you know, that's my prayer and hope. So just staying hopeful, stay connected, don't isolate, you know, move through it, reach out, even if it's to one person. That's what I would say. And don't stop dreaming about your love if you want that. Dream big. Derek, you're an inspiration. I love your story.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Roberto.
My wife
Oh,
just
sorry.
it happened.
I love it. Well, and I love her too.
Okay, let's jump and then we finish with Roberto.
Yeah.
Derek, our now. What would you say about our now? And it has been a lot of changes in your life in the last couple of years. So our now, from you and your wife to our communities, that they're so diverse, and this is a sample of it. Tell us.
Well,
Some,
she is HIV negative. That was one
yeah,
thing
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't state
But
earlier.
she's part of your life and a caregiver as well
But
of each other.
since we met, we have traveled and gone to concerts, and I've done more living in the past 2.5 years than I did since I
Right.
turned 30, because I have somebody to experience life with. I'm doing things I could have only imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've gone on cruises. We've done and experienced things that, it was just an idea. We've
yeah,
got our own house. We've got, it's things that just I never thought I would live long enough to have.
yeah,
I'm able to experience now, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I never take it for granted.
yeah. And you seem that kind of person, and happy that we met this evening, and hopefully again we'll stay in touch. Roberto, our now.
Yes, sir.
You're going
Or
through
now.
also you're going through changes. You're moving. You just moved to Los Angeles. What's
Yes.
now for you right now?
My now is realizing and living in excuse me, the moment of keeping in mind I have little to no limits on me. And I need to embrace that and take advantage of that.
Mm.
Um, Looking at the facts, keeping in mind there's more societal acceptance. It's not all the way there, but it's a whole heck of a lot better than how it was. And that's one thing that the campaign that I was talking about, the Remember Me campaign, is wanting to focus on. It's going to take all of us, like all of you that have shared your stories, all of us working together, because we've all done um our parts and working independently and individually. Maybe we've teamed up with the organization here and there. Okay, that was good, fine and dandy, but just think how powerful it could be if all of us were to come together, bring all of our resources and our knowledge, and work as one huge, big old beast, I guess you could say. Um, so I want to really focus, mine now is focusing on the campaign, getting that really tied in, and hopefully all of you will be a part of that. It's going to take all of us in order to make this happen.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at wanting to be national as well as become international. So in order to do that, it's going to take all of us to accomplish that. So that's my now.
I really believe that we have so many kinds of advocates that I've been uh, honored to have met through my life and
Yeah.
last years. I want to recommend to all of you also, guys, and I'm gonna put you in touch also as much as I can with a conference called Healthy Voices that I adore because it's a lot about supporting every advocate, us advocates. And also something that I just connected that is really a pleasure, something called the Human Library, that we become books because all of us, we are a story. My now, again, for whatever reason, we put meaning to numbers. So next year I will be 65 years old. I cannot believe again that I was 25 when I was told you will live a few months because the guy that had sex with me then, he died in 1986. So it was almost like just life telling me, yeah, you might also go away, but I'm here. Uh, and it will be again 40 years. All what I can say also, because we have to also accept, for me, what I had felt through our community is that we have to accept that some of us, or some of them, or some of our brothers and sisters are tired, and some of them consider themselves thrivers. Um, and, uh, and we have to respect those sides, because um, some, again, the survivor's guilt or depression or seeing all their friends dying, or some of them, or you have experienced that closeness to dying many times. And again, somehow we're here. So I just want to, again, say thank you. And
Mm.
again, we will share this. And so if you guys want to pass me again any links or information, I will gladly, because I'm really good at it. I'm gonna share it with as many people as we can. And so I hope to talk to each of you then later. And again, I will promise I will help you with your projects and your things.
Great, great.
I'm very good about it. I will try to share it with, like, that I say, from government or politicians or agencies or organizations, because we are not here just to smile to people. We have to ask the hard questions, even if they call us troublemakers.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Usually a good thing.
An honor to meet the troublemakers
Right.
or
Well,
people.
Jesus, I was even labeled as a shit starter because I would bring so many issues and things up that needed to be addressed.
And I'm sure,
Yeah,
Eric, also, like you mentioned, sometimes people don't want to see your hair from you, but
right,
People got afraid of me. I went to a conference, and the day before, I showed up and I hadn't shaved, and I wasn't cleaned up. And the next day, I showed up in a full suit, and I walked in, and when I sat down at the table and I was all cleaned up, everybody sat up straighter. They were like, "Oh God!" They were like, because I told them, I said, "You're not talking to D-Rec. You're talking to Mr. Canis now." I said, "This is a
wow.
whole different animal.
Mm.
This is a whole different animal."
Yeah. So thank
And
um,
yeah, that I mean they have to see, all of our personalities, and yeah, I don't mind being a troublemaker.
exactly, and
right.
keep asking the questions, because for us that we are talking and speaking, there are so many people that can't, or sometimes they're already in bed, again, suffering, or but we're here. So thank
Yeah.
you very much, guys. Sending lots of love and healing energy to all of you guys. I will share the recording with you, and stay in touch. All right,
Wonderful.
Yeah, Jesus, thank you so
Thank all
much.
of
Thank
you.
you
Thank you
guys.
so
Good to
much.
meet everyone.
guys. And again, I'll pass the info to everyone else in case if any one of you wants to in touch with each
Perfect.
other. I
Perfect.
think this is
Okay.
Okay.
to all.
Lots of love. Much love.